Okay, welcome everyone. Jill, for your benefit, we started this forum at the beginning of COVID, the lockdown, and it's a forum where small businesses can share their stories and for others to learn and get a little bit of inspiration. And the purpose is to share with each other, and with obviously we share with you some of our knowledge, or if we can contribute to solving any challenges that you have. So as I was talking earlier on, we had Kenya Rodriguez from El Grillo, coffee roastery and restaurant, who shared her business challenges with us. And we're busy working with her and her husband to address some of those challenges. So I'll give feedback in the weeks to come on where we are. So let's just go to the agenda. So today we're going to talk about a small company in the Durban area called the Corner Office, who's going to share their success story with us. Then they're going to share with us some of the business challenges that they have. So this is a bit of a different one from the ones that we've had in the past, where we have an existing successful business, but also hitting a couple of challenges or bumps along the road and is looking for advice. And then we'll open it up for some questions and answers, and we will sum up the takeaways for the day. So let's go straight into introducing Jill and Caroline Clark. So Garth explained this to me, so that Jill's a business owner and she's the office mom. And primary focus is on sales and finance, and she looks after the people like a mother hen, make sure that they're happy. She has a BA degree and a higher diploma in education. So I take it, Jill, that you were a teacher at some stage. Lots and lots of experience in short skills development courses. And her passion lies in fostering development of the members under her care. And she's an all-round people person and is well and truly the heart of the office. And that's a comment that Garth put in there. And Caroline is Jill's business partner. I take it that's your daughter as well. And her focus is on brand awareness, digital presence, communications, and systems. And she also holds a BA information design degree. And she specializes in advertising and print, digital design, and some e-commerce and some user experience. And she has a knack for the written word, which means she's probably doing most of the copy and the brochures and everything else that you're doing. And she excels in creating a cohesive brand presence and voice for the Corner Office. So it looks like they dovetail quite well as a team. So my first question to you, Jill, is what's your background in being in office space? I'm obviously coming from an education type of background.
Zero, absolutely zero. This is a brand new concept, which we just dreamed up. Basically, the person who's at fault here, I say at fault because this has been quite a ride, is my son-in-law, who had because he had a very, very large space down in Durban, in the center of Durban for his business. It was a factory, basically. He landed up pulling in people of doing like stuff, and it turned into a kind of a co-working space. And when my husband said to me, listen, you're spending all this time in the community, 12 hours a day, please can we do something that earns some money? We started to brainstorm, and Lee, my son-in-law, suggested exploring this, and that's what we did.
Okay, interesting. So how did the Corner Office itself come about then?
Yeah, well, basically what we did was we did an enormous amount of research into, and there was a whole family. This is definitely a family enterprise, and we discovered that this is quite a movement. It's an old movement. It started in America some 20 odd years ago, but nobody really thought about it here, and it's been growing exponentially over the years. And we just thought, right, well, let's give it a try, because in our particular area, in the Upper Highway, there are a lot of small businesses, a lot of people who work out of home. Durban is just a big town, actually, is literally 1 degree of synchronicity. There's always somebody who knows you, or you know somebody through somebody. And so we thought, and I have a very large community because I run my neighborhood watch in our area, and all of them were crying out for some space where they could just get decent internet, get some work done. And as the growth of internet business started to mushroom, and the need for a stable internet where they could actually conduct their business overseas and all over the place. So that's really, really how it all started. I think is that answering the, yeah.
Yes, no, it does. And it sort of leads me to my next question. I mean, I've spent 30 years in corporate life as well, and also you go through the different phases of having your own little office where you could lock the door and hide away, from them to changing everything into open plan and then into hot desking. But you brought up a word there which is very interesting. You called it co-working. So could you explain to us what is co-working?
Well, you know, there's all sorts of conceptions about what co-working is. And I think that my slide shows what it's not, first of all. So you're actually not a renter, you're not a tenant, and you're not put in a box and issued a key. So it's not a shared space, because that's really what shared space is. It's you're hiring or renting out micro offices. Co-working basically is a whole membership thing. You become a member of a thriving community, and then we host. You're hosted by us, the management, the community. We call ourselves the community management team, and the reason for that is that's exactly what we do. We broker conversations with the different people, because of course now you've got, for example, we've got 9 offices here. That's 9 different businesses, going from a corporate company like Juta through to a thriving little startup, which started up with 2 guys 3.5 years ago. There's now a team of 9 in the office in the digital spaces, software app developers. And recently we've got on board an international digital marketing team. They've got offices in Dubai, all over the place, actually. I don't even know. All I know is they eat up our internet. But anyway, so I'm not joking. It was 129 gigabytes in the first 4 days of this month. So I got a phone call from my internet guy. He said, "Is somebody doing torrents in the office?" I said, "No." But yeah, so that is really what we do, is we actually create an environment which fosters a community, and it actually fosters a support as well, because there's a lot of brainstorming that goes on around in the lounge coffee area, which you saw a slide of what that looked like. And there's a lot of collaborative business that's actually evolved as a result. And as one of the chaps said, it was such a lovely affirmation. He's got a fascinating business, which I won't bore you with now, but in essence, he said he has made connections and actually closed million sort of deals which are worth a few million, which he would never have even known about if he hadn't worked out of this space. And that is actually very exciting for Caroline and I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this not a spin-off for, say, like the Silicon Valley type of formula? And the reason why I brought that up is the very first time I ever went there, I had a friend who was working at Apple, and he says to me, "Come, I want to show you something." So we went to a local coffee shop. Now, the campus there, Silicon Valley, is a huge, huge, huge office park. And we went to this little cafe, and they've got these whiteboards and bean bags and everything. It doesn't look like a cafe. It looks like a millennial playground type thing. And you had guys from HP and from Apple and from Dell and from all these big names you can think of. And they were solving problems amongst themselves, even though they're competitors, for a particular guy. Because the technology moves so fast that they didn't have to worry about protection of IP and things like that. And they said that this environment created so much value for those companies in that space. So I think what you've just mentioned now, it sort of just resonated.
Well, it very much is a follow-on from that, excuse me, because the Silicon Valley, the Apples, the Googles, of the world, they actually caught onto the co-working, this aspect of the co-working vibe very early. One of my very good friends, her daughter works for Facebook, and it's exactly the same. They work in this kind of collaborative environment. It's stimulating, it's productive, you know, and and it's exciting to be in. It's actually such fun to come to work. It really is. I don't know what's going to happen every day. So,
well, that leads me on to my next question then. COVID. So
yes.
how did COVID affect you, and how did you actually manage to come through, well, let's say most of the pandemic right now? We're in the remnants of it, hopefully, but it's still there.
Oh, no. Yeah, just heads up. It looks like we're going to level 3 as soon as the matric exams are over. So if you want some booze for Christmas, just a quiet heads up on that one. But back to how did it affect us? It did affect us, hey. We have recently moved as a result of that. How did it affect us? We lost our part-time members, the guys who come in there. We call them light members. They come in for 32 hours a month. So it's literally once a week or a couple of hours a day. We immediately lost that tranche of revenue. And of course, we lost all our meeting revenue, which is one of the aspects of our business, which is our high risk, high return, you know. It's you charging a fairly decent premium for a space per hour, and suddenly that was gone. So it affected us revenue-wise badly. But saying that, having our office, our executive members, as we call them, those are the guys who are in their own offices, their own space, lockable space, they stuck with us. And it was really great, Richard, because that loyalty actually carried us through. It really did. And then the other thing is we had a core of them who were essential services. So we, in fact, only closed our offices for a month. So from then, we actually, we were okay-ish. Yeah, but we've regrouped and recovered quite quickly. But in the middle of all this lot, where we were became a big problem because it was in a little center, slightly off the beaten track, which had some charming restaurants and all those good things. And over the lockdown, that center has deteriorated hugely. The body corporate is bankrupt. So all the services that one expects in a center started to fall away. And we just thought we had to find some solution, and we were very lucky that, and it seems crazy to take such a steep jump while we were still financially struggling, but it was a no-brainer. We were offered an opportunity with this new space, which, as you can see from the slide, has 135,000 liters of pool, but we were offered the space at it was such a lovely opportunity. The opportunity to own our own place, or get to own our own place. We've got a rent to buy option, and my landlord is an absolute honey. Just brokered the whole deal, and the offices needed very little to do, so we could literally move our space over the course of a long weekend, which we did. That long weekend in September, the end of September, we moved all our members, everybody. We closed on the Wednesday afternoon, and that was open for business on the Monday. And that's it. So we've been here for a month. So we've come through it. Now we just have to grow.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's move on to our next question there. So how do you actually market and make people aware of your business? I know you mentioned that you were quite involved in the community policing and neighborhood watch side of things. But I mean, that's a confined or a limited market. How do you market outside of that?
Well, you say it's a limited market, but if you think about it, the community that I'm involved in is 1,000 homes. And I'm on all the WhatsApp groups for our upper highway area. So when we put a message out, from a crime perspective, we touch everybody who counts in the upper highway area. So from that perspective, our community groups, as we call them, and we've got community marketing groups, have been fantastic, because I'm to say it myself, but they know me well, because I'm always opening my mouth and shouting at the police and doing all these things. So I've got a reputation, and so there's been a lot of support from my own community and my neighboring communities for what we're doing, which is, but the key thing has actually been, because of that, a whole word of mouth. The people in the office are our best fans. We often get people, if I'm busy with somebody, one of our members will show a prospective customer around. I came in not so long ago, and I found Charles, one of the guys. He was taking this group of people all the way around the office, telling them about this, telling them about the other. This is why we're here. This is what we like. And it was just so special. And I felt, and Caroline felt, blessed, frankly, that our customers are our raving fans, and they actually market our business. So that's actually been our prime growth, and we've been, as Garth may have told you, remarkably slack on a lot of our marketing strategies, and he's forever cracking the whip and saying, "Are you doing this? Are you doing that?"
That doesn't sound like Garth. No.
The other thing, oh no, not at all. I also belong to BNI, Business Network International, which has been a very, very good place to be, because I was lucky enough to be invited into one of the biggest chapters in South Africa. There are 46 members. And so that referral system through BNI, I don't know whether you guys are aware of BNI.
Yeah, I am.
Are you? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. That referral system and actually is incredibly effective. So that, and then the first thing we did was get, and this is Caroline. Is she not on? Is Caroline not on? My Caroline Clark, is she not with us? No. Okay. All right. She should be talking to you about this, because this is her baby. Very clever at getting Google to work for us. So I can't use the terminology because I don't know it. I go, yes, that sounds fantastic. But a lot of people find us through Google. There we go. And in fact, we haven't really made much use of Facebook until very recently. And where Facebook has she's just put out a whole thing on Facebook, a whole slew of things. And what that's done is create awareness for our new space. So suddenly we've got this large number of people who's starting to come through and look and see. So in short, it's word of mouth, referrals through BNI, Google very much, and Google has driven traffic to our website, and we get in terms of our systems, we get online form submissions from our website. And then just now we're playing around with Facebook. So that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's it. I hope.
Yeah, no, sure. So what has been your biggest challenge to overcome so far?
Well, I think I've touched on, I told the biggest challenge we had was, in fact, where we were. It just didn't fit into how our business was evolving, because one of the things, and this was a challenge, one of the things we suddenly woke up to was, actually, we're in the hospitality industry, because that's what we do, is we look after our customers. We make sure there's decent coffee. We make sure that they're well looked after. We collect their post. They come to work, sit at a desk, and we look after them. And that's hospitality. So that was a challenge to wrap our heads around, because we thought, once we got this thing going, it would sort of run itself. No. Mm-hmm. And so the manpower issue has been one that we've had to, there isn't a job, we've created a job description for, we don't have a receptionist. We have a front desk community manager. She runs, we call it her flight deck. It's her she runs the show. She works out where everybody is, who's going where, and all that sort of thing. So that was a very big one. And the other one, where are we? The one that we actually think we're getting on top of is actually one of the things we have is how do we work with our bad debt? Because the financial model, people at the lower end, you know, our officers, that we now charge a deposit, which has changed my life, because if anybody messes with us, that's fine. We've got a month's leeway, if that makes any sense. But it's the people who are actually paying 600 Rand a month or 2,000 Rand a month that sort of decide that they want to up and off without paying. Dealing with that bad debt has actually been a challenge. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I think, yeah, going forward, where we are at the moment is because there are so many businesses who are closing. We've had so many people, landlords, owners, property owners, who have approached us and said, please, can you just create a corner office for us? We don't know how to run this business, but we know that it's a good idea. And the challenge for us is, how do we do that? That is a big challenge, because you may have said earlier that Caroline and I have a very complementary skills, but we need a third leg in or a third brain, because neither of us are particularly financially orientated. So that we don't know how to deal with all these people coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big one.
Okay. So we're going to cover some of those challenges a little bit in a few slides.
Yeah.
So I want to move into the next slide quickly. So you mentioned your husband's architect, Caroline Garth. So where else do you go for advice?
Well, Caro and I did an action coach sort of years training, which we learned a lot from, but we don't actually go to him for advice, sadly. I don't know why. We rely on people we know, and that is, we happen to have a very high-powered bunch of friends, which is very great. I rely on a lot of Garth's advice, and also my attorney, Julian. He won't let me sign anything, actually. And latterly, because of the lack of skill in the accounting and financial side, I now live right next door to my accountant. So we are spending a lot of time together, which she's quite grateful about, so she can make sure my books aren't a mess. And that's where we are at the moment. Yeah, so those are the main things. Garth, I think. Who else?
Yeah, no, we're going to
I think you've covered it well.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to like one of the other members of our group, Garth Denny. He is very involved in shopping centres, and he's actually an attorney himself. He gave me some very solid advice with regard to moving to this property. So yeah, who else should I be speaking to? Please tell.
No, cool. I've got, I think there's one more question, and then we can jump onto the business challenges.
Okay.
So this one always sort of catches people out, because a lot of people don't really pay much attention to this. You know, we've all been programmed into believing that we must work extremely long hours and work extremely hard just to be successful. But there is a line where there's diminishing returns. So how do you manage the balance between work and home?
Badly, very, very badly. Sorry. The plan. Okay. The plan is, this is a legacy business, and that was the decision from the get-go. Was at that stage, actually, my elder daughter was still in the country. She's now in the UK. Doesn't stop her meddling from there, I must tell you. But the whole plan was for it to be a legacy business where it could provide Chris and I, my husband Chris and I, retirement income of sorts. Because all of us, we've never worked, or I did very early on in life, but mainly never worked in the corporate environment. I've coached in the corporate environment, but so therefore we don't have that cushion that people who have worked there, like a salary is something that's very strange. We don't get salaries. So there's not that much of a cushion when you've been working for yourself for 40 odd years. And this was the intention. And I think we're on track because we created a 5-year plan for this. And Caroline is being coached and she's learning to actually manage most of this. And I think we'll get there. But for now, it's all hands on deck. Okay. All hands on deck. So no. And the joke of this is, Richard, is that we are promoting work-life balance for our members. That's the whole plan, is to give them a sanctuary, make sure that they've got some kind of balance in their life. But we are not managing it well at all right now.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
I'm not quite sure I should ask you the next question or not. I think I'm going to leave it.
No, ask me. It's okay.
No, I want to actually bring this up in your business challenges.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Garth to lead us in terms of what your challenges are. So you've mentioned some of them as you've answered our questions, but Garth crystallized them quite nicely. So Garth, if you can just take us through what is the corner office's business challenges that they actually want advice on?
Okay. I think, as Jalise said, it's a legacy business for her and her husband and the family. And they've recently, as of a month ago, made a huge investment to move to the new premises. So there needs to be a return on the capital invested there. For that to happen, the office space, the hot desks, the cubicles, everything needs to be filled to a benchmark which potentially needs to be defined. But I would say, Julie, about 80% capacity is going to get you to some form of decent break even and return.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that becomes one huge challenge. Aligned to that is the marketing of the concept. And I think here, Dana, Simone, Kathy, the marketing pundits should have opinions in terms of what we've seen. You know, you've mentioned your Google, you've mentioned your social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You know, your landing page, your SEO optimization, your SEM activity. Those things need to be integrated. So I would see that as one of your big challenges, is you're doing lots in the marketing space, but is it integrated and is it getting us the return? The spend that's going in there, when you started out, the advice was stay away from above the line, because you're really just going to be investing in adverts that are not going to bring you the return that you need. Social media has been sort of far more rewarding in that regard, plus your community interests. So it's between all those areas you've spoken of, the BNI, the community WhatsApp groups, the Gillets. Jill is the sheriff of Gillets, by the way. That's why she speaks with authority on all topics and everyone listens. Not her husband though, but anyhow, we won't go down that path. So yeah, that I would say is the challenge on the marketing side, to just get everything integrated, coordinated, and a very good platform that you must measure. I think in terms of, you know, if one takes some of the biggest estate agents around here, they all, and I talk of every major metropole in the country, they all had agents sitting in office space, whether they owned it or rented it. They had like up to 15 agents, depending on which was the, you know, what the agency was. Those people are working from home now. So a lot of that space is up for grabs. And Jill's been approached because of the corner office and it's what it brings to the co-working environment. She's been asked to come and manage, come and give us a formula, or how do you do this? But we want the space used up. So I would touch on a potentially a franchise type concept. And let's leave it at that because we want to maybe chat around that. And then the other is the whole financial tightening. Because Joel creates this, I don't want to use the expression, but this mother hen approach and looks after everybody, there's I think a feeling of, well, I don't need my space for next month, I'm just going to disappear. And what we need is a more definitive and a more accountable. You signed a contract, this is your financial commitment, whoever you are. If you're going to give me a month's notice, please make it 2 months in advance. And I need a deposit up front so that I'm covered for a month and I don't mind forfeiting a month. So there's that need to, let's say, corporatize the corner office concept a bit better. I think that, Julie, that, and also if you're going to franchise or you're going to offer a consulting service, is protection of your IP. This co-working concept is out there. We've mentioned the Silicon Valley corporates that use it and work with it. So it's nothing new and it's easily copied. But I think the way you've made the formula work and the way it's unique for you, there is something that's created the success you've enjoyed to date. And it will certainly be carried into the future. So I think those are my 4 key areas in terms of summarizing potentially the challenges, the marketing, the franchise concept, the financial models, and I think that really covers it. The legacy aspect of the business, and I don't know if there's anything else you need to add, Jill.
No, you've covered it really well. I think the protection of our IP is an interesting one because, as you say, it's not a new concept, it's co-working. It's just what we've done makes people want to duplicate it. And we've already had someone who believed they could do that, and they're our only competitor here in the highway area. So yeah, and we're now right over the road from them. So but basically, it's I don't know how to actually do that, and that's actually I don't know how to actually franchise, do a management contract, and all those things. Yeah.
Okay, I think. Well, let's deal with the franchise. Let's say the expansion model, where you want to cookie cut this. So the first thing that comes to mind is, have you actually documented your success formula in terms of, we have a flight deck and we call it a flight deck. So all the operations are run from there. This is how we look after people. So it's almost like a Protea hotel type of thing where the managers are trained. Listen, this is how you look after the guests. This is where they have breakfast. This is what type of breakfast they have, those type of things. The operational processes, have you documented them? Because I spoke to Garth about it yesterday. I can put you in contact with a person who does franchising as a business. So he will assess your business. He will advise you, this is how it works. This is what you need to do. Because when somebody buys a franchise, they're not buying something that says, okay, I need to think outside the box. They're buying somebody else's success formula, which they just need to replicate. So unless your success formula is actually documented, you can't franchise your business. And this chap will take you through that.
Yeah. Okay.
Will take you through this process, because they want to be able to say, I want to take a Jill and Caroline and I want to put them into Richards Bay. How do I do that? Because you can't run up and down that in 2 all day long. You're not handling the work-life balance as it is. Now you want to split yourself between 3 or 4 different type of locations, and the whole thing will fail. And trying to hire people who look and think like you, who have a different same type sort of mentality, is extremely difficult. You probably get 1 in 100 people who might match what you're doing.
I tell you what we did. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
So if you can document exactly how you're doing things, and the small things is like, where do you sit? Do you act like a maitre d'? Do you float around the corridors looking for issues to be addressed? Those are the type of things that need to be documented.
We're kind of getting on track there, and I'll tell you how. Caroline, my Caroline, you please chip in here. Because we had to document the behavior, we went when we were interviewing for our employee at the front, we had to go into behaviors and personalities to be able to hire someone. And because the position we wanted filled isn't a standard position. So her position is pretty clear in terms of how she behaves, what she does. Our systems are actually really working well. But Caroline, why don't you say something for a change?
Well, I think you've pretty much said everything. So there you go.
Nice one.
Okay.
Yeah, but in terms of a complete handing over Jill and Caroline's corner office, we've got a long way to go. But we've got to start, but it's a long way still.
Yeah, I mean, it's franchising as an option. You know, there's other options of trying to expand, like either hiring somebody, but then you take the risk of picking up those costs, regardless of what happens in that other building. So maybe there's another wave of COVID and everything shuts down, and then suddenly you've got rent and salaries and things like that that you have to pay, and you don't have any revenue coming in to cover that. So, you know, it's a financial modeling exercise. So if you decide to go down the franchising route, I can put you in touch with Kevin. In fact, I'll do that after the call. I'll actually send him an email, give him and you can have a chat to him in terms of what's actually involved in doing a franchising option. There's a lot of work involved from your side, and you as well, Caroline. Yeah, the nod of the head there, yeah. Okay, let's talk about the bad debt. What are your payment terms like? When you sign a contract with somebody, how are you getting money from them? Do they pay up front? Do they pay in arrears? Is there deposits? How does that whole financial model work?
Okay, our contract basically is you pay in advance for your month, in terms of whatever contract you've got, whether it's a month only or 6 months, or we don't have contracts which are longer than a year. And I think that's actually something we need to look at, Caroline, because our offices are very stable. But in all of the contracts, it's you pay at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month for the month to come. And with our officers or our executive members, we call for a month's deposit. All the others, however, are just you've got to pay at the beginning of the month for your month to come. So
okay, so it's on a month-to-month basis.
Well, we've got a subscription set up for our light members, our part-time members, and we actually I find we've got some traction, but people are very resistant to debit orders and subscriptions. So, I don't know why. But we've just got to persevere, I think.
Okay, so
when you giving them the option.
Well,
yeah,
that's one option, yes, yeah. When you sit down and do your financial planning for the year, have you worked out the average of saying, listen, over the last how many years we've been operating, this is the average of how long these contracts actually last for? Then what you can do, let's say for instance, it lasts for 4 months on average. Then you cost your rent for that room or boardroom or whatever for 4 months. So if the guy disappears for 3 months, you're charging them as if it's a 4-month contract. So if it was 100 Rand a month for 4 months, now you're going to charge them 120 or 125 Rand a month instead of 100 Rand a month, because you're working out your costing and your profit margins based on a 4-month contract, because you only get paid for 3 because the guy ups and leaves. So then why not charge for the 4 months? He ups and leaves, then you haven't taken a financial hit. Because to try and chase, you know what it's like, trying to chase a guy for 1,000 Rand or 2,000 Rand worth of debt through a lawyer is just not worth the effort.
No, and that is the problem, and everybody knows that. If somebody, like we've got one at the moment, he's decided well, his employee is actually very busy, so she hasn't come into the office. So they are 2 months in arrears, and it's just on now 3 months. But to actually take him to a debt collector or a lawyer, you're looking at what, 7,000 or 8,000 rand. You know, it's actually not worth it, is it?
No, I mean, and the stress
Yeah.
on you is just, no, it's not worth it.
I
So
like your idea.
you could ask for a month deposit, and then work out your costing model to say, okay, the bad people, they take a 6-month contract, they normally here for 4 months, and then they disappear. So I'm going to cost this thing as the money, and you get paid for 4 months, and you take the 6 months and you divide it by 4, and that's what the monthly rental is going to be. So if they stay for the extra 2 months, you're smiling.
I really like that idea. Hey, Cara. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
What other services did you provide over and above, giving them internet and coffee and looking after them and providing office space? So where I'm coming from is, if you offered additional type of services, like you had online storage or an email type of thing, if they don't pay, you can cut them off and hold that data. So you've got something that you've got leverage. So if you're offering some type of service where if they don't pay and they don't get access to their business data or something like that, then you have a bit of leverage, and it will make them think twice about just upping and leaving.
Sure. Cara, which of our services could we do that?
Well, I mean, we've got our VoIP phone service, but not that many people actually take that option. And I mean, we can do that with our gate access. So we can restrict access. So if someone hasn't paid, we've got, one of those gate systems where if you call the gate, it opens for you, and all members get their numbers added to that. They've also got a key fob that gives them access to the boardrooms. So that is basically our only cutoff option at the moment.
Okay, so you haven't got real leverage.
No, that's the problem.
But maybe you could brainstorm about other types of services. So like a guy comes in, he's running his own business. So maybe you get together with an ISP and you say, something, we'll offer you a domain, we'll offer you the email services, we can host your website, we can do all these things for you as part of a package. The guy doesn't pay, then you put a hold on it.
I think that's,
Dana?
Yeah, so I'll take it a bit of a step back. I think like the one important thing that I feel like maybe is missing here is a business strategy. Okay. Yeah. It's to know where you see your business in the long run. Like what's your business going to do for people? What's going to come out for them for joining you? The moment you know that, that's when you know where you can find the different leverages, when you can bring some more added value. That's going to help you to get your message very clear, your target market, very niche, all of that. And I think that's what you need to come out of. Think about and start to imagine where you see your business in 3-5 years. I'll give it an example. If I look at my business, okay, my business is about marketing, and my strategy is to get people to become big branders. That's what I see. That's what I'm trying to plan. So every little thing that I do with my business, that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to take it. So think about what's the message, the key, and try to even phrase it in one sentence. What's going to come out to them by coming to you? And then find what's your unique selling point that you can come with, your unique message, that there's the reason why. And there's so many things you can do. You can also offer added value in so many different ways. You can do even bring different people that will either volunteer or come and give a speech about a certain topic that's relevant for everyone. You can collaborate with people that do courses and tell them every month you're going to get a free course as well. Like on a certain topic, you can choose out of this. There's so many type of activities you can do that not necessarily going to cost you much money. Because even to reach out to some people that are launching now something new, that will be willing to give, even now with COVID, a lot of people also giving for free. So there's a lot of different packages that you can actually build, that by that you're also getting leverage of why, okay, I really want to be there. I really want to stay there. I'm really getting something else, and not on just the space and the Wi-Fi and all this. That wow, I can actually see my growth here, and not just like, you know, so that's where I would aim you and tell you to go to. So just be very clear with your strategy, and that's where everything gonna start.
Yeah, no, 100% agree there. Anybody else got any comments there? Simona? No, Simona
I just
doesn't want to
wanted
talk
to
about
say,
that.
Yeah, I just agree with everything Dana said. I just kind of put that on the group. She was kind of going the way I was thinking, specifically with the business strategy and the long-term kind of growth, and kind of doing a sensing and seizing exercise as well in terms of where you want to go, what are the smaller things you want to incorporate with your long-term goal, and what are and other smaller things that can mitigate in case something goes wrong and there's a COVID 2.0. And stuff like courses, and what Dana said is exactly on the nose, I think.
We are in the process of incorporating all of that, to be honest. We, funny enough, so far as the courses, we've asked a lot. I mean, when we're talking about, you know, who we go to for advice, we actually speak to our community a lot and find out what they are actually looking for. And, you know, when we think of something that we could offer them, we're like, would you prefer this or this? Just so that we can get a feel of where they're going. And interestingly enough, with our community, a lot of the people who come in are already fairly established in that they've already got their domains, their emails, all of that kind of thing set up. So unfortunately, I don't see that as being a good leverage opportunity, certainly for a broad base. But we are actually working on a collaboration at the moment with one of our members on social media training, and sort of a pair between our light membership and a social media package. So almost like a new business package where it's, you know, get a little bit of time in the office, get your website and your social media and everything set up. So we've got that in the works at the moment as well.
I think it's very important for you, like even now when you've got the people, you know, just to even ask and, you know, even offer and say like every month you're going to touch on a different topic. Okay. And it doesn't matter how long you're in the business. And I promise you, because I had a chat with someone that got his business for more than 15 years in the diamond industry, and I've changed the way he thinks about the message. There's always more to go to. There's always more to work on, but you need to find what's in common for a lot of them. And that you can also do by just asking. And if you also like on social media, that's the nice thing. You can even ask and ask the question and say like, what will get you to come to stay in the office space? That type of a package, that type, you know, get people involved, engage, and see what people are actually looking for. And you're going to be maybe surprised on the type of services they're actually looking, the type of added value. So there's always where to go to, no matter where your business is, there's always more to. You want to even try to get to that type of segment. You don't know what to do. Like there's so many things. So just always just engage and get them to be part of it. And then they actually feel that someone also listened to them. And yeah, from that side.
I think, Dana, you've actually summed up the whole thing. You and Simona I was doing it a long way around, but I'm glad you just sort of like cut it short. Joe, I think the advice to you is you need to go back to basics in terms of what do you want to do in the next 2-3 years? Because you've mentioned lots of things. So you've got a marketing integration problem. You've got internal system slight challenges. You've stumbled across a very successful, unique formula, but you haven't documented yet. You've talked about franchising, and you spoke about bad debt, which is a financial modeling exercise. But you have to go back to the beginning, and Caroline also alluded to it. Identify your target market. Because in Gillett's, you're very much in touch with your target market. You have your community sorted out, your WhatsApp groups, your marketing is spot on because you know that market. But the moment you move out of that and you move to Umhlanga, for instance, or Tongaat, or one of those places, it's a different environment. There might be similar type needs, but it's a different environment. It's a different marketing way of things. So what are you trying to, who's your customer persona? Who's your customer? You know what you want to sell. And then from there, things become a bit clearer in terms of in Gillett's, we're going to offer these packages. And in Umhlanga, we'll offer these type of packages. Similar, but maybe you've got a list of, say, 10 things you're going to sell. And in Gillett's, you do 1 to 6. and in Umhlanga you're going to do 1, 2, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I must say I've been musing about this whole thing, especially where we are at the moment, and that is what we have discovered fairly recently. In fact, Caroline mentioned it last night. Is our whole marketing thing has been just around the corner. You know, your local co-working space. However, we've now got people driving from where's it, Carrow, Durban North, Morningside. They're driving past other co-working spaces to come to us. So they're even prepared to tackle Fields Hill. I don't know, you guys might not know Fields Hill. It's terrible.
I know it well.
Yeah. so that was like, oh. And so where my musing has been is we're on a really large property here. It's 4,000 square meters, and we've got the capacity to develop another 1,000 square meters. So there's been a lot of talk here on the group about long-term, where are we thinking long-term? And one of the things that is definitely on my mind is to develop this property to its capacity, and then it becomes a sanctuary for whoever wants to come, not just our local people, because that's the one thing. And then somebody, who was it, was talking about the financial side. Adolf, yeah, we're fairly happy. He was talking about the financial model on the chat. We're fairly happy with the financial model we've got. We basically have researched all the other co-working and shared office spaces, and right now we are, in terms of the market, keeping to the kind of pricing that's acceptable. And my aim, certainly, I'm not sure whether it's Caroline's at this stage, my aim is to make that we are already 80% full in terms of the space here, and the way we're going to make money is actually to evolve other services, or as Caroline is talking about, the light members and the startup packages. There is a distinction between time and space used, and the more exclusive the space, the more it costs, actually. So yeah, I think did I answer that, Adolf?
Yes, I just want to, okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I heard you say that there was one of your clients that was using more bandwidth or something. So I was just wondering if there was a deterrent, or if that is one of the perks, that because they have free reign, that they can actually, that was the one thought. And then the other point also is that there is something that attracts these people to your businesses. So there is, if you look at the value that you're offering, if I was a small business person and I was using your services, it's because it's either more cost effective or I'm getting something. So that value that I'm getting from your business, from your perspective, you should be looking at the value the customer's getting, make sure that you're actually charging him for that value that he or she is getting. So that's why I was a bit concerned with the imbalance of the consumption of the one customer in relation to the rest. So look at this. That is the one question I was concerned about regarding that. I just wanted to speak also a bit about your potential growth. If you like to say it's the IP model, or you could open your own branches. The thing that they mentioned there is that if you do follow the IP route, you need to have a way of monitoring the income that the other people are generating. So that if you're working on, for example, a franchise model, you're getting commission on probably the services that they are rendering. So you need to think of a way to but that I'm sure you'll get from the from the franchising guy that's going to speak to you about. And then what I see in your business that distinguishes you from somebody else is probably the relationship that you've got. Now, once again, you mentioned that people travel past other similar businesses to yours. So you're differentiating yourself in terms of something. It could be that you're more affordable, or it could be that because of the environment that you're creating and the network that you got or whatever, then that is what distinguishes your business. And that is what you want to duplicate. So either you have to duplicate it by starting your own other stores, because you are the person that's got the networks, etc. Or if you do go the franchising route, you need to ask yourself, how am I going to establish that relationship? And it could be a selection of the type of person that starts the franchise. So it's not just selling a franchise, everybody's got money, but you need to be selective, because I see your relationship being an important aspect of your business. So those are some of the things that I think you probably need to think of when you do expand, is to, like your flat manager or the lady that you selected is based on certain personality traits. So I see your selection of personnel as being an important distinguishing feature of your business, and probably one of the distinctions between your success and other similar businesses. So let's look at what makes you special, and then that you probably need to duplicate if you grow your business. That's my contribution. Thanks.
And I'll add on top of it that I think that's the main thing. First, to have a clear strategy that's going to be your guideline, and that's where you're going to go, and everything will go align with this. But the second thing, if you want a franchise, is that you do need to start telling more your brand story. Okay, what's it all about? And that's your unique story, and that's what you're going to actually bring it on, no matter where it's going to be in the country or even outside the country. There's a story behind it. There's some theme around it, and that's what needs to be packaged. So you need to find out what's that story, what makes it unique, and then share it. And it doesn't matter how many office spaces you have, you've got your story. Yeah. And people are drawn to that, because eventually people buy from people. We are connected to each other, and we're looking for that part. So if you can start sharing it and find it with you and start sharing it and packaging it, and the messages and the design and everything, and then you pass it forward and you make it sure that in every single place, you know, like even if you take like a place like McDonald's, that doesn't matter where they manufacture in the world, they have very clear instructions for everything that you need to follow. They're forcing plants to buy certain machines for purpose, and they're not giving up on that. So that's why the message is very clear, no matter which country it is. And that's what you need to find, like what's the story, what's unique in your business, how you can actually bring it to everyone else, no matter which route you're gonna decide to go to.
Yeah, I think
our unique sorry.
No, go ahead.
Our unique selling point is absolutely our community and our community values and the way that we nurture that. And that's not something that you get, well, as people have reported to us, that you don't get at other co-working spaces in Durban. And I think that is one of the stumbling blocks we've come upon, like Adolf was saying, is when we come to the franchising discussion, whenever we look at our unique selling point, a lot of it has to do with Mom and I being hands-on in the community and creating that feeling. A lot of our members and guests all talk about how they feel when they arrive at our office, opposed to somewhere else where it might feel a bit cold or scripted or overly corporate. So it's a tough balance to try and reach. I think we're going to have to find some very specific people to join the team if we are expanding.
Well, honestly, Caroline, the more we chat, and certainly this has been a good distillation of some thoughts for me. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, it's like trying to bottle you and I. I don't think that's possible. It's going to be very difficult for us to do. So we need to just sit down and have a think. You know, maybe for example, with that 900 square meters, which our landlord is offering us, just around the corner, actually in Kloof, which, believe it or not, some people in Kloof find coming to Gillet's quite far.
All of 5 Ks.
Yeah. But that may be like a branch. Maybe we look at that and see how we go. And then I'm going to retire and leave you to make those other decisions. Like
the hospital pass there. I mean, a final comment on that there, Jill, the franchising option is a different business model. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of pitfalls, and you need a specialist to guide you through that. But what you could possibly do is, if you're thinking of doing that branch, then maybe use that as the guinea pig to say, I'm going to use this other 900 square meters and treat it as a franchise model to see if this thing works. And you will very quickly find out what are the pitfalls. Can you, the two of you, split your time between these two spaces, even if it's only 5 Ks apart and hours of driving? How does it work? Because one of the things that I want to add to what Dana was saying is that the two of you being so close to your community there is what your unique selling point is. And by adding too many other services, you dilute what you're actually selling.
Yeah.
You know, those other services, whether it be IT and a whole bunch of other things, are just nice to have, which anybody else can do. You know, all those extra value adds to give you leverage because you lock people in, but it comes with other handcuffs as well, and you need to just keep your just keep your wits about you on that. But maybe treat that 900 square meters as take a 3-month lease on this thing, and try it as a franchise test pilot project and see how it works. Gar, sorry, you wanted to say something before I interrupted you there.
Yeah, I think Joel's got a sufficient history of having been in this for 3 years. The initial start was a very limited number of offices and space, and that soon expanded into a larger footprint, which is now in turn 3 years later, is expanded into an even larger footprint. My cue would be the 18 months to the next 3 years, or let's say that the 2-year plan is make this current asset sweat. As Richard's advised, Donna, Simone, everyone who's contributed, Adolf and Stefan, is let's get this asset to sweat. Let's get it to make money. Yes, there's a unique formula, which is, call it what Joel offers and Caro, but the documentation, the business plan, the thought process to take the model forward. And even though it's lucrative to say we've got another 900 squares, I'd be reluctant to go that way now. We don't know what COVID's going to do. You've been very successful during COVID, so your formula does work. But let's get the current setup working and get the financial modeling sorted. I think between Jill and Caro, due to your nature and your community spirit and everything, I'm going to be held to be criticized for what I'm going to say, but you're too nice to the people. Maybe and when I say that, is divorce what you two are from what your accountant needs to do for you. And the accountant needs to then hold people responsible for the lack of payments, the shortcuts, hey guys, your internet usage is way up. We need to obviously recover the costs, etc., etc. But it divorces the personal aspect from yourself and Caro to a third party who does, let's call it the debt collection in disguise. So if your accountant can help you, and I think that'll formalize your financial modeling a lot better. But I think for now, I would focus on the 18-month plan and really get that benchmark established. Then we look at the expansion, and then we look at the franchise outside of that, because then the formula is ready for rollout. I don't believe it's ready for that now.
Okay.
And I'm not being critical, I just realistically, yeah.
Yeah.
And also the integration of that marketing strategy is something I think needs serious examination. And it's quite easy, it's been done, but let's do it a lot better. And make those channels support each other, make the word, everything, just get it to really hum for you. That's my say.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other final comments before we do the takeaways and wrap up?
I just want to echo what God said now. I'm thinking of the way that the debt collection problem that you referred to. We all have internet that we use. If you do not pay the end of the month or the start of the month, the service just does not exist. So there are certain basic business principles that I think God alluded to that you should just apply. First of all, so the one I would almost say is that the debit order thing. I can't see why people cannot agree to the debit order. But that is a form of commitment to say, and I think all of us here have some type of debit order with our service providers, whether it's a cellular phone or anything else. So I think you need to be a bit firm in terms of that aspect. And if the people are not prepared, then you're exposing yourself actually to the risk of what you're actually experiencing. So partly you're contributing to your problems, you need to ask yourself, how can I minimize the problem of debt collection? And if the people are not prepared to sign a debit order, but they're prepared to do it for the cellular phone or for something else, then you need to decide if I'm going to allow this client in or not, because that is one way of ensuring that you have less problems in terms of debt collection. That is just the thing that came to mind now. We almost, oh yes, another point now, which is maybe not as a problem for you now, but when we grant credit to customers, there's an obligation on us as business owners that the customer that's getting the credit can afford the credit that we are granting him. So the bigger your business becomes, there's a bigger obligation on you to do credit control and to ensure that the person can pay. So I would almost say that it's non-negotiable. You need to make sure that the person is in a position to actually pay before you actually are granting the space. Thanks, that's my contribution.
Just very good one, thank you.
One short comment on the debit order thing. There are ways around committing people to a period of time without using a debit order. So Carolyn, you could have a payment gateway online, and you can use a gateway like PayFast or Candy or someone like that, that you say the period is for 6 months. And for 6 months, it sends a token to the bank every month. It's the same as a debit order, but the guy's not signing a debit order. And the reason why people don't like debit orders is because they get abused. And it's only the person that you're paying can cancel the debit order. So if they have a huge dispute with you, they can't actually stop the debit order on their bank. It's just the way that the law works.
So we do use the PayFast debit orders for our, well, debit orders, it's automated subscription payments for our Lite members. But Mom keeps on giving them the option to not go on the subscription. So yeah, like they have to just be on, otherwise we lose track of them and they disappear. So,
but I mean, that's a conversation between the two of you,
yeah.
But I do agree with Adolf and Garth, is that, yeah, sometimes it's difficult if you're a people's person to be hard when it comes to the money side of things. But if you can do your financial modeling in a way where if they're going to up and leave in the last 2 months of the contract, you've already recuperated your costs. You can still be nice to them, but the money's already been provided for. And you can use other payment gateways rather than debit orders to sort that out. Okay, any other comments?
So I'm just going to say one last thing. If you guys decided to give some added value, I'm more than willing to help you and give you even like for your tenants, a session on branding, a session on social media as per what this is. So it's my help to you. So